Ladies and gentlemen, what is going on, everybody? And of course, welcome back to the Sports Lovers. In today's first video, we of course are going to be predicting these ACC matchups. We're going to talk about them, break them down, give our thoughts on each one, and who I think is going to win. We got a great slate of games here in the ACC. Can't wait to get to it. But first, of course, last night was the college football playoff rankings reveal. Very good rankings. Thought Alabama should have been a little bit lower after falling to Oklahoma, but I guess it is what it is. We'll just have to eliminate them next week in the Iron Bowl in a night game. That's always going to be fun. Also, another quick thing, Carolina, Bryce Young, Ted McMillan, players of the week in the NFL. Absolutely insane. Finally got it done, and we are back on the right track for the Carolina Panthers. But like I said, in today's video, we of course are going to be predicting these ACC matchups. But first, before we hop into it, hit that sub button, leave a comment down below so you don't miss out on any of the latest videos. Tonight, we got some major college basketball hoops. We got Alabama, Illinois, UConn, Arizona. That's going to be a fun one. Should be starting around the time you guys are seeing this video. But go watch this. Then you can, of course, watch the basketball game, of course. Then later tonight, we do have the Auburn Tigers playing tonight as well. So lots of stuff happening in the world of sports. And without further ado, let us go ahead and predict these ACC matchups for week number 13. All right, so kicking us off on Friday Night Football this week, we actually have a really decent game, and I'm very curious to watch this one. That's Florida State going into NC State. Both teams are sitting at 5-5 right now. Obviously, has not been the season that Florida State fans wanted, starting out the year hot with that win over Alabama. Then, of course, you do start to lose a few, but then you think, hey, maybe Thomas Castellanos and company can turn it around. That hasn't been the case. Florida State, they've been on a downfall. They're 5-5, only 2 wins in conference play, and now Mike Norvell's buyout is being discussed. On the other hand, NC State, Carter Bailey has been playing some really good football recently. With that being said, I'm going to take NC State. I know the line says Florida State 4.5, and it's favoring the Seminoles, but I think NC State's going to win this game, and I think it's going to be because of their defense. I believe they'll be able to put a quarterback spy on Thomas Castellanos. I think Castellanos is going to have his trouble against a very talented NC State defense, might I add. And Carter Bailey is going to throw for a lot of touchdowns in this matchup against Florida State. Do not be shocked if Florida State wins this game, but I'm going to take the upset, and I'm going to take NC State to get the job done at home and get to bowl eligibility here in 2025. Moving on to the next game, the kicking us off on Saturday, of course, on ESPN. That is Miami at Virginia Tech. Virginia Tech, if you guys did not see yesterday, named James Franklin their new head coach. So that's going to be very interesting to see. Very curious to see how he's going to turn that program around over there. With that being said, Miami, they're on the outside looking in. Last night, during the college football playoff rankings, they are in the bracket. So they're in the 12-team playoffs, which is very interesting because it right now is keeping the Vanderbilt Commodores out. It's keeping teams like, of course, BYU and Utah out as well. So I'm very curious to see what happens with Miami this weekend if Carson Beck plays up to the hype that we have been hyping him up all year. I think he does. I know the total in this game is 48.5. I would stick with that. I think there's going to be a lot of points scored in this game from both sides of the ball. I think that Miami, though, is going to have those first couple of stands on defense during the game, and Virginia Tech is going to get some sissy, I guess you would say, points there towards the end of the game. But I do think that the Canes move on to 9-2 and, of course, get the job done on the road. Moving on to the next one here on Saturday morning, 11 o'clock over on ESPN2. This is going to be a very interesting one as well. That's SMU, bowl eligible, 7-3 versus Louisville, 7-3. Lots of very competitive games in this ACC down the stretch. Again, there are some teams that could still make the conference championship as it is just a wide open conference. Kawan Jennings has been playing some really good football for SMU. Miller Moss has been playing decent football these last few weeks. I expect this to be a very competitive game. The line is SMU 2.5. I'm going to lean more towards Louisville in this game. I like the Cardinals more in this matchup just because I like Miller Moss. I like Louisville's coach. I think, yes, I know that, of course, SMU's Rick Ashley just had a very good extension with SMU, but I got to go with Louisville here. I don't know. Something's telling me that the Cards are going to get the job done on the road in Dallas, Texas, and improve to 8-3 on the year. Keeping us rolling, that is Delaware at Wake Forest. Wake Forest having a shockingly good season. I know a lot of people did not expect this from the Demons, but they are 7-3 on the year. hosting Delaware 5-5. Robbie Ashford has been playing really good football these last couple of weeks. I expect that to keep going. I think Wake Forest wins this game. I think they win it by a lot. They did have a slow start to the year, but ever since those first couple of games where they just dropped, they've been on a roll. I expect North Carolina to get the job done, or excuse me, Wake Forest to get the job done and move on to 8-3 on the year. Lots of really good teams in this ACC conference, ladies and gentlemen. But a team that is not so good is the Syracuse Orange. We all thought that they were going to be a very talented team this year, especially with them beating Miami towards the end of the year, kind of turning that program around a little bit. With that being said, they're now 3-7 on the year. So not the start that Syracuse fans wanted during this football season. Notre Dame comes into town 9-2, coming off a big-time win on the road at Pitt. Of course, Carr has been playing really good football. Jeremiah Love has been running the ball all over that Pittsburgh defense. I expect him to get a heavy dose of action again this weekend and help Notre Dame win this matchup at home against the Orange, and they will get the job done and move on to 9-2 on the year. Moving on, though, this is going to be a very interesting one, and it's usually a great basketball game. I'm going to be so real, but it's Duke versus North Carolina. The Blue Devils, they're sitting at 5-5, trying to get to bowl eligibility here. North Carolina 4-6, trying to do the same thing these final 2 weeks of the regular season. With that being said, Gio Lopez, of course, has been playing some really decent football this year. And I think with it being in his first year as a D1, a true D1 school, I think he's been playing some really good football. With that said, Messiah and Duke and company, on the other hand, they have the better offense. They should be able to get the job done. Duke's favored 6.5. I think with this being a rivalry game, I don't know why this isn't played on rivalry weekend, but I think that Duke is going to get the job done on the road at North Carolina and move on to 6-4. Don't be shocked, though, if North Carolina does get the win at home. Keeping us rolling here in the ACC, last few games, we got Furman at Clemson. Clemson should be able to get this one and get the job done. It has not been the season that Clemson fans wanted. Obviously, Cade Clement going down and being hurt. With that being said, I think they will be able to get the job done here against Furman and move on, of course, to 6-5 on the year and be bowl eligible next week. Which brings us to another very good matchup. Can't wait to watch this one. 6 o'clock, ESPN. Going to be a banger. That's Pittsburgh at Georgia Tech. Georgia Tech 9-1 on the year. That lone loss there earlier in the year. Pitt, they are 7-3 on the season. Of course, coming off of a big loss to the Notre Dame Fighting Irish. Georgia Tech, again, on the outside looking in of that college football playoff. And the committee actually has Miami in over them. So Georgia Tech's going to have to win this ACC. And it starts right here against Pittsburgh. They got to have this game if they want to continue that momentum, get to 10 wins on the year. I think they do. I know Pitt's offense did not play very good last week, but I expect them to bounce back in a sort of way where it's going to be a close matchup, like a 28-20 type of game. But with Haynes King's experience, with, of course, the coach that Georgia Tech has, I expect them to get the job done at home in that matchup. And then, of course, to close us out on Saturday night, that is Cal at Stanford. I'm going to be so real. Probably not going to watch this game. Going to go with the California Bears to get the job done to close us out on Saturday night in the ACC. But that is going to be all for today's first video. Let me know what you thought of it in the comments down below. Don't forget to like, subscribe, turn that bell on, as we do our best to post to this channel every single day. Of course, NFL predictions will be coming up very soon, so stay tuned for that. Got some banger matchups in the NFL. Hit that sub button, leave a comment down below. Thank you all so much for watching. I'll see you in the next one. Peace.